Well, Sam, we've won, but at what cost? But
I
at what cost?
don't.
Ah,
I don't think it'll. Yeah, I don't think it'll be too much of a cost anyway. By the sounds of things, it was always he was always hanging around.
yeah, I think you called it a couple of weeks ago, didn't you, mate, that
Yeah.
we're stuck with him. Well, I mean, he he got a couple of things right
Yep.
on the weekend, and whether it was him or the supporting coach, the managers, or if the players just did their own thing, but it was a completely different game plan to how we've kind of played the last
Yeah. It definitely felt completely different in that first half.
even in the first bit of that second half, they sort of stuck with that. It was just I mean it was a lot of long balls over the top.
Yeah.
But it was
They obviously saw that as a weakness and exploited it.
yeah, and I mean they tried it from the kickoff.
Mm.
And it worked. So yeah, look, I know we say like at the start of almost every episode, I'm like, this is
It's going to be
probably
a short one.
probably going to be the
So this
shortest
is going to be the
episode.
longest one we've ever done. There we go. I'll reverse psychology it.
Yeah, no, I said it the last episode. I was like, oh, it's probably going to be our shortest one, and it ended up going for like an hour. So that's not going to happen tonight, mate. Did you watch the game live? I can't remember. Or you
Yeah,
sort of
so
just
I watched the first half and
yeah,
then I went to meet up with my mate that came over from Perth, Shane.
that's
So
right.
he definitely doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
Uh, his football is not in his bloods. But yeah, no, when I met up with him, so I was sort of just listening to it, which is really hard to do, um, like listening to the footage because there's no radio of it.
yeah. They're not
Yeah,
calling it
so
play by
they're not
play.
calling it. So you're sort of sitting there going, "What's happening in this moment?" So a lot of that, and then yeah, I sort of got there, and then I was that weirdo standing in the middle of a group of friends doing this, watching my phone. But yeah, no, I got to watch the sort of last 15 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well, we'll talk about that last 15 minutes in a sec, mate. But well, you managed to watch the first half, so you got to
yeah.
see a pretty good display from the
Oh,
team.
so good.
Let's
It felt very different,
it did. They all looked up for it, which they haven't all season.
which is very true. Yes.
There's been, basically for the last what week are we up to now? Is it round? I don't know what
10.
round we're up to. Oh, here we go. That was our 13th match that we played, and it felt like the 12 games prior to that, mate. We had maybe one or two players each week who you could really tell were putting in or,
Yeah.
for the whole 90 or the whole time that they were on the field. And, that was nine times out of 10, it was normally Waddingham.
Yep.
And then maybe the last couple of weeks it's been Harrington. And then, like bits and pieces, players sort of in spurts of kind of, but a lot of the time they kind of haven't looked up for it. But all of the players looked up for it on Saturday. I'm just bringing up the lineup now. So
Yep.
the starting lineup for us was, and this, I mean, when it first got announced, there was a lot of people that were, um, myself
I was,
included.
yeah, I
And
was, it was only really two players that I was sort of a bit iffy on. So,
so we
because
had,
I quite like, um, Jelacic and, Klein and Haller, and they're doing quite well. They're just not producing anything. That's been the problem, is the way that they've been playing hasn't produced anything.
yeah, yeah. Well, so we had Freak, Gilroy, Harrington, Billity, Zabala got chucked
Got
back to left,
shafted back there, poor thing.
shafted back to left back where he was no good there whatsoever last year. And then we had in front of them we had Sam Klein and Jay O'Shea, then Haller and Hoare, the return of Henry, Jelacic, and then Zimmerino up top. So I mean the big news, obviously, mate, the return of Henry Hoare. How good was he?
Oh, it's like crazy how actually, like, and Ruben called it, like how much we missed him.
Yeah.
which it is crazy how much we miss him. Imagine what we could have done in those tight matches, having a player like him
Yeah.
in behind instead of having, yeah, sort of makeshift um, attacking midfielders. Yeah,
I
no,
just, yeah, I don't know what it is about him, but he's just got something. He's not like
he's
he's not super fast. He's not quick.
no, and that was the thing that I was going to say. I'm sitting there watching him move, and he just gives himself that extra couple of meters for some reason. Like I don't know how he does it, but he's very, very good at it. So I'm probably gonna sit back and watch that game again and just sort of, yeah, really, really watch him and see how he moves because yeah, he doesn't seem to be very quick, but maybe he is. Maybe he's
No, but
deceptive.
he's quick between the ears, and
Yeah.
that comes back to we mentioned it in one of the episodes last season. Fan of the pod, Richard, mentioned that Henry Hall reminds him very much of Peter Beardsley, who used to play for
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Newcastle, and I can't remember who else Peter Beardsley used to play for, but I definitely remember him at Newcastle back in the 90s. And yeah, very similar in terms of that kind of just uncanny ability to pop up in the right place at the right
Mm.
time, do the right thing to beat a player, find the space, bring other players into the game. Yeah, it's really hard, like to figure out what he does differently that any of those other players haven't been doing
Yeah.
for the
No,
last.
I'll definitely dive into it because I mean
Yeah,
it's worth yeah worth sort of figuring out where exactly he sort of finds that extra space
it'll be
and
interesting.
the ability to have his position when he gets the ball to be able to turn and create space.
Yeah, it'll be interesting the next home game that we get to watch. To maybe we might try and remember to try and keep an eye on him off the ball,
Yep.
just to see his movement and everything. But talking about turning and making space and going forward, Sam Klein in midfield
Oh,
was absolutely on fire for
as I said, from the pre from whatever it was called
the fan day.
season launch or fan day, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
From that day, him and Harrington stood head and shoulders above everyone else watching them play. Like, I was seriously sitting there like, oh, sweet, I can't wait to have him on the field. And it just took so long to get him onto the field. And it's just like, far out. Like, he's, he is head and shoulders above everyone else, literally. And he just, yeah, always wanting to look forward. Or like, I think there was about 6 or 7 times where he was past the ball and he's already had the head up looking around and is receiving the ball as he's turning.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
receive, turn, or letting the ball run so that it just runs into someone. Is he's receiving it and turning, and it made such a difference in the
And
midfield.
letting the ball run
Yeah,
past
with
him
him. Yeah.
when he turns. Yeah, very noticeable. And he was lucky not to have got two goals
Oh,
himself
that one off the post
off the
was
post. I think it probably would have been called offside.
I think so too, yeah, but it was
Yeah,
a banger.
but and he also in that last game, that last home game that we were at, was at the Newcastle game. He almost
Yep.
scored in that game too. So I think a goal or two by the end of the season, definitely you can chalk one up for Sam Klein. He's looking pretty likely, and it's kind of weird that he is because the first couple of games that we saw him play, he was definitely like a defensive holding midfielder.
Yeah.
And he still is in that role, but he's finding himself getting forward, and it's
Yeah.
really refreshing to see.
And he seems to have the fitness to be able to run those two roles. So you saw it a couple of times where he was up front and just fucking fanging it back when they got
Yeah,
the ball, like really, really giving it his all, which we've been missing.
yeah, that's
Unfortunately, we
right.
have been missing.
We have very much been missing like a proper box to box midfielder like
Mm,
that, and he looks to offer a lot going forward too, which is really good. I think you know for everything that Zadkovich has got wrong, and he has got almost everything wrong this season. Let's be honest. I don't think anyone should get too far ahead of themselves with that win. But
we're gonna win the league. What are you talking about?
the, the
I'm in now. I'm in.
the two really bright sparks for me, especially over the last 3, 4 weeks, have been Harrington and Klein, those two
Oh,
kids.
shit, yeah, yeah.
I mean, when I say
Which is,
kids, I think Sam Klein's like maybe like 21 or something.
I think he's a bit older than that even. I'll look it back up because I
Yeah,
had him up there before.
look him up. But those two have been, yeah, the standouts so far this season for me.
Oh no, he is 20. There you go. I
He's
thought he
20,
was, yeah, I thought he was 22 or 23,
so
but yeah, 20.
he's he's
He's
not
very
he's not
young.
he's young. He's young. He's not a kid. You know, they're all not kids,
They're
but
all kids to us,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Um, very young, inexperienced players, and especially Harrington thrown in the deep end. You know, like his first ever A League minutes was starting at centre back.
Yeah,
And I mean, there was, there was both of them had, like maybe gave the ball away, maybe didn't make a tackle or two here or there, but like you said, like the effort to get back and make up for
yeah.
it. And but the way that
And we
Harrington,
seem to change. We seem to do that all over the park. Like there was a moment where Belletti lost the ball and he was up and going after it and getting back to the ball. Whereas it would have been a drop head give up
yeah, yeah,
before. I think that's even how we scored. I think it was Belletti let the ball, like had the ball, two men on him, slips over or something, and they got the ball and he chased them back, got the ball back, went to might have been O'Shea, and O'Shea put the ball over the top.
yeah,
And then that's
okay,
how we scored.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's how it ran. Yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah.
know
So
what
it
we
was,
we should have done before we went live is just go through the
yeah,
recap
go through the
together and
recap.
actually watch the
Let's do it
goals.
live.
Let me just have a look at the match stats. So, what have they? Oh, I wish they'd put the minute that they scored up. So the
Well,
goal
it's
scorers. So Halloran opened the scoring with that little dink over the
up
top.
the top. They've got so yeah. So 16th minute was Halloran.
16th minute. Yeah, Halloran got that little dink over the top. Then Henry Horse scored that absolute ripper,
Yes. So good.
belted it straight at the keeper, went straight
Yep.
through him. So that was on the 21st minute, and then 10 minutes later. Joel King scored a really nice goal,
That
really
was
nice touch
actually.
to control it and then slot it past Freak. Then Zimmerino got his first goal for Brisbane.
Didn't think he did he?
I'm
He hardly celebrated. He was like, was he offside? Was
I'm still not sold on him.
no.
I think any striker in that position would have scored that goal. He just, I mean, yeah, he doesn't. He's not quick.
Which
He
is,
does.
yeah, which seems to be something that we definitely need to look for.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to I mean, we're sort of going to be jumping around a bit here, but we did look at the stats just before we went live, Sam, and once again it was 41% possession, and we scored 4 goals. So it's telling you that we're scoring more often than not, probably against the run of play or in transition or counter
Yeah.
attacking. Um, even though we did have a couple of really nice moments of some build up play there, that tells you the story that we're kind of playing on the back foot and counter attacking, and that's where someone with some real pace up front would
Yeah.
definitely do some damage. But well done to him for scoring his first goal. And I thought I saw someone mention a name on Twitter or something during the week that's kind of made me have a little bit of a cry. Um, was they were talking about Jonas Markovsky, and I was like, man, I wish we'd held on to him. Like I
Yeah.
think he'd started to score a couple of goals, and he was starting to look settled in the squad, and I think he probably would have been really good to have instead of Zimmerino. But if he can go on and score a couple more goals for us this year, that'd be awesome.
That'd
But
be awesome. Yeah.
I don't see him as a long term solution for us whatsoever. The poor bugger. Always going to have one player every season who I fucking rip into. Zabala has been saved by the
He
fact that
has
he's
been.
he's been played in midfield and in his proper position.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't notice him in that game, which meant that he was obviously doing his job on the left hand
Yeah.
side. So it wasn't like we
Well,
were getting torn
a
apart.
lot of traffic went down his way too.
Yeah, and
A lot of traffic. And I think even their first goal was scored off a cross from his side.
um, yeah, from
Yeah,
his
yeah,
side,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
The
I
cross went
wouldn't
in, yeah.
I wouldn't put him to blame for it. The
No,
ball
no,
that
no.
came,
That's what I mean. That's all the traffic went down that side, yeah.
yeah, and that ball that went through was kind of one of those balls that we always talking about, Sam,
Yeah.
where getting it in nice and early. And yeah, unfortunately for Bert Gilroy, that wasn't one of his best defensive moments.
He
Yeah,
slips anyway, so yeah, I'm
oh,
watching it now.
he just completely misjudges the
Yeah, the
jump.
flight of the ball, and then he slips
Yeah.
over, and yeah,
There has been, unfortunately for him, there has been a couple of goals this season as a direct result of him. I really think he's more of a midfielder. I think he's
it's like a winger. That's what he feels like. Like
yeah,
he's
he kind
yeah,
of feels like he's been forced into a wing back. Yeah. What else can we talk about? Jay O'Shea was well
yeah.
up for it.
Well, definitely wasn't
Um,
wasn't putting no looker um long balls in this time, but I really enjoyed watching the two of them in the middle there. They really played well off each other. Like
yeah, O'Shea
whenever
and
yeah
Klein.
whenever Klein was forward, O'Shea was in behind him, and whenever O'Shea had the ball, Klein was in behind him. So it was they were sort of letting each other be the attacker,
Hmm.
without sort of giving up and not creating anything. They just sort of came in from behind on each other, which I really enjoy watching midfielders that will let the person that's controlling the ball run around with it.
Yeah.
Don't need to you don't need to push it. You don't need to be a part of every single piece of action. You can actually sit back and let them cook. So yeah, it was good.
Um, the other goal scorer that we didn't talk about was Lucas Harrington. Uh,
Yes, that was beautiful.
what a
Off a
goal!
set piece.
Off
What
set
is
piece.
this? What is
Yep.
this?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And he almost scored another one earlier in the game too, another
Yeah,
volley from
yeah.
a set piece. So obviously something that they're working on. Him sort of ghosting in at the far post or on the center circle there, but that was a fantastic finish and what a way to score your first goal. And
Oh
I think
yeah.
by the looks of him, he, I think Zadkovich might have got it right at the start of the season when he said that Harrington's got the highest ceiling of any young defender in the league. And I really hope for Brisbane's sake that they get him tied up on a contract.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because we saw what happened with Waddingham.
I
I'm not
guarantee the next even this window there would be people circling for him.
fucking Melbourne victory. They'll come
Yep.
looking for him. That I can see it happening. Like just the way that the place is run. I can see him still being on a youth scholarship contract at the end of the season, and Melbourne
Being
victory coming
released.
along, or someone overseas, and him either leaving on a free transfer and going to Melbourne Victory or going overseas for 150 grand or something like. Yeah, I think they need to do some good business and get renegotiate his contract, put him on a full time senior contract, and get it upgraded to a 3 or 4 year deal. I think.
Definitely.
What else can we kind of talk about from that game? Well, I mean, that's kind of all of the
The
positive.
yeah, the positive was first half or first 55 minutes, 60 minutes, we were getting the ball, looking forward, going forward. That was the biggest difference.
Yeah,
There was no get the ball up to the 18-yard box and let's give it back to the and then it ends up back at the goalkeeper. Like there was
happened.
none of that. Yeah,
It
but there was
happened a
none.
couple of times, but
But it wasn't happening every time we got up there.
yeah,
We were actually trying to put like there was a ball where Henry Hall put the ball in and it went to no one. But I would rather him put a ball in the 18-yard box for the opportunity of someone to get onto it
yeah,
than him going, oh no, there's nothing on, I'll reverse back, I'll come. He was trying to push his hand. And I
yeah,
love that. I
yeah,
love that.
definitely. Well, so Harrington scored his goal on the 71st minute,
Yeah.
which made it 4-1. And the commentators, Robbie Thompson, they were going, "Oh,
When
Brisbane,
he said it,
they've got
he,
this, the winning goal. They've got it in the bag." And I'm thinking to myself, don't say it." And this, for me, like I said, Ruben Zadkovich I think, got a couple of things right. But it's for me, this was the real concern, mate. Was immediately
substitutions.
after that goal, the foot came off the pedal,
Yep.
and I mean, I've messaged you because I'm not sure if you were watching at that time.
Yeah, I was in the car at that time when you messaged. Yeah,
It was immediate after they scored. After Harrington scored that goal, you could Sydney were on the rack.
yep,
Straight away, we had another opportunity or two. We really could have gone ahead, put the foot on the throat, and thrashed them. I
yeah,
mean, scoring 4 goals against Sydney at home is a pretty big deal. And at that time, it was 4-1. And honestly, like if you go back and watch the game and just feel it after he scores that goal, it
yeah,
really feels like we probably should have scored another 2 or 3 goals.
yeah,
And we should have thrashed them at home. Instead, the foot came off the pedal. They started kind of time wasting a bit, like knocking it around.
yeah,
They'd get the ball forward and then they'd just sort of stop and pass it backwards and pass it sideways.
yeah.
And
Like there was 3 minutes left in the game, sort of
the
thing.
urgency went out of the game with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, they forget that 20 minutes is a very long time.
Very long time, and Sydney proved that. They very quickly got the upper hand and scored 2 goals within 3 minutes to make it an extremely nerve-wracking final.
Yep,
Well, I mean, with the 7 minutes of extra time on top of the sort of 7 or 8 minutes to go after they scored their third goal, I messaged you and I was like, "We're going to lose this, aren't we?"
yep. That was. I think everyone was puckering up when that was
That's
happening.
that's
So
what it felt like, and it's just those in those moments, like that's where the mentality side of thing comes in that I've spoken about before. That comes from the manager, that comes from the top. There shouldn't be the foot shouldn't have come off the pedal.
nope.
Like whatever it was that we were doing was working, and Sydney hadn't reacted to it. You can hear through the effects mic that Ufuk Tally was clearly
Oh
unimpressed with
yeah,
what was happening on the field.
out man, that was crazy.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, the pedal should have gone to the metal. The foot should have gone on the throat, and we should have thrashed him.
Yep,
But yeah, for me, that's just another sign of the weak mentality that I think Zadkovich likes to talk a big game.
yep,
But we've seen him we've actually seen it with our eyes with him doing the whole fucking hammy thing to Macklin Freak. Like that was clearly a tactic in the last 10 minutes of that game.
yeah,
And that's not what we're about. Like Brisbane Roar has always been about playing to the
yeah.
90th minute.
Foot on throat.
And the gold standard example of that is, our comeback against Central Coast. Central Coast
Yeah,
took the foot off with, they were 2-0 up with a couple minutes to go and took the foot off and look what happened to them, and I think they're the kind of things like that's the kind of thing that should be reinforced to the players all the time, like that kind of thing.
yeah,
This is what can happen if you guys don't switch on, you
yeah,
know.
definitely.
And they can take them back to multiple examples this year and show them, like there was the game against Sydney at home.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Well, we
Um,
were up the we got the early lead,
yep.
and yeah.
The
Yep.
four all draw against Macarthur. We should have won that game.
Yep.
There's been multiple examples this year, and for me that you know the players we saw on Saturday night that they can clearly play football.
Yeah.
But the mentality side of things is for me is very worrying. Yeah. And you got anything else to say about the game, mate? Or
No, I was again. It was substitutions that sort of made me, scratch my head. I can understand Henry Hall coming off. Like, obviously, it's first game back. You can't push him too hard, but he didn't look like he really needed to come off.
mm,
It felt like maybe he was just taking him off just to take him off. And then yeah, the Burke Gilroy, um, like Hingett and Burke Gilroy swapped, and then Halloran and Brissett swapped. Again, I didn't think Halloran needed to come off. Like, yeah, Brissett's awesome, but have a feel for the game. Like Halloran's doing very well up front. He's got the measure of them 4 or 5 times with those longer balls. He's running the riot on the right hand side for them.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of
And
a tough one, and they scored pretty much straight after that. Like I think it was 80. Yeah, there we go. 86th minute that interchange happened. 87th minute they scored.
yeah, yep. And I think didn't he replace Zimmerino with Berenguer?
When was that? I think that was earlier.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, that
remember.
was in the 62nd minute he took Zimmerino off, and it's like, well, why? It's
Yeah,
not like he was. That's yeah, it was very baffling. That first one, I was just like, no, Berenguer doesn't need to come on right now.
no,
Maybe in the last 5 minutes or so to look up the game.
I think, yeah, I think if you wanted to bring Berenguer on at that time, he probably could have taken Jelacic off.
Yep,
I mean, he's a
he
solid
is
player, but
yeah, it was awesome, but he was having a bit of an off one. Yeah,
he was pretty ineffective, and I think it would have been smarter to keep a striker on. Um,
yeah,
yeah, especially when you've got then you'd have eventually Brissett and Halloran on together at the same time, and balls coming in from out wide and in behind. But yeah, once again, his substitutions are fucking weird, man.
yeah. They were very very all over the place because like I in my eyes like even having Stroop like you've got him sitting on the bench like put him on instead of
Tim Marino.
Berenguer. Yeah,
Yeah,
well
yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah, like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I don't even remember noticing Shaw on the field
Oh,
after
yeah, I
that.
remember.
So
Yeah,
I'll have to rewatch it. I
yeah,
feel
but
bad. Sorry,
that's
man.
that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like if someone in the midfield, especially a defensive midfielder, if you can't really remember them too much, it's not so much a bad thing. But yeah, like just that whole last 15, 20
Hmm.
minutes, foot came off and Sydney got back into it, and they never should have. Um, let me just think, mate. I think that's about it that I could think of from the game. There's not really much else that we can talk about tonight. There hasn't been any news. We haven't heard any more about the rumor of Michael Roos coming from Western United, and
No,
he played for them on the
that's what I was
weekend.
going to say. I don't think it's happening if he's playing.
Yeah, yeah. You'd think if he was going to be moving to another club that they wouldn't be playing him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he did come off the bench, but he's still got minutes. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But a couple of the other teams have made some transfers, and Brisbane,
Perth,
Perth.
notably.
Yeah, yep. Lockie Wales, is it? I think was it?
Yeah, they've made a couple by the sense, and they've got one sitting there. Don't know what it is, but I did see a couple of people post Ruben Zadkovich's face up on the transfer list thing. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But they're making moves and whatnot. Again, nothing being even rumored other than that. It's kind
Well,
of disappointing.
we saw one of Sydney's new signings play against us with Josh Sotirio coming on.
Yep.
I think it sucks shit to them for signing him. I don't think he's very.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean, they've frozen out Max Burgess and brought Josh Sotirio in. So I mean, we'll take Max
yeah, I'll take Burgess for sure.
Burgess and Henry Hall together in midfield would cook. But um, yeah, we didn't really get any comments on the YouTube on the last episode, mate. I'll just double check to see if
I think
anything else has come in.
we've got four on there.
Yeah, they're just kind of general comments,
Thanks and yeah.
not real questions or anything. Richard said, "Congrats on the record listens for the last week's episode. Thanks for
Thanks,
that,
sir.
mate." Nicholas Peters says O'Shea needs to be further up. He's our main playmaker and can't link up if he's playing defensive mid. We say that every week. Can't agree
Yep.
with you more, mate. There is actually one question here. See what you think, mate. I'll read it out and you can answer it, and I'll give my thoughts as well. Do you think the Asian culture of saving face impacts the Bakri ownership decision of not selling until they get a buyer willing to pay what they have spent? Surely most Western businesses would have written it off as bad debt. I enjoy the podcast. Thanks for the entertainment. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
that was Michael Ball. I wonder if it was Michael Ball from Wellington, Phoenix.
What are
Sam,
you doing watching us?
what's your thoughts, mate?
I don't know enough about business to know what a write-off is and what it isn't. To have a real sort of nous about it. But I'd be gathering that it could be a cultural thing. It could be the fact that they spent this much, so that's how much they want out of it. It does happen in housing on the Gold Coast, so
Well, I mean, that's just, I mean, any business wants to make,
yeah,
at least even every business wants to make a profit.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'm not sure with the whole, the Asian cultural thing of saving face. I'm sure that that's definitely a thing in some Asian cultures, but like particularly Japanese culture, I would assume
yeah,
that, honor and those kind of things. But yeah, I
Wouldn't
can't
know.
really sort of comment on it too much without really knowing too much. Whoa, sorry, I've just opened up another window. Um, yeah, I can't really think of um, any examples that I'm sort of aware of that kind of culture existing
No.
within business. So, I mean, it could be something, but I just honestly think they just don't give a shit.
Yeah, I feel like it's we're not that much of a expenditure. I feel like
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what the point was of them buying the club.
never
Um,
know. Maybe it was if you buy them, then we'll do business with you. Someone
it could have
it could have
been,
been one of those. Yeah, who knows?
yeah.
So,
I think we would have heard about something like that by now.
I'll start rumors.
Some,
I'll podcast it. This is what podcasts do. They
yeah, and
throw out
you know
things that are not true.
that kind of blatant corruption that would have surfaced in the
Mm.
last 10 or 12 years for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. Do you think Asian culture of saving face impacts the Bakary ownership decision of not selling? No, I don't. I don't really think it's probably got that much to do with it. I mean, I mean, they're doing similar things with Oxford United over in the Championship. Like getting rid of a manager who got them to where they were, and I just think they're bad managers.
Yeah, well, that's what it feels like. It just feels like they just don't know. They obviously don't know how to run sport in Australia. That's for one, because
Yeah,
you know you're going to be running at a loss, basically. Um, you're sort of going to make your money up in sponsorships and whatnot. But they've got a big population to deal with in Queensland, and they just haven't, yeah, haven't been able to grab a hold of it, which is really painful and it doesn't make much sense, especially when you can go to a Broncos game and see the kind of numbers that are turning up to them. I'm not expecting that sort of stuff, but I would be expecting something to be like because we're successful. We've won three titles. It's not like we're some team that's never done anything.
yeah.
It's very odd, yeah.
It's definitely. I mean, it's something that I think someone like a decent journalist, if they could probably start digging and like find something. I think there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
I mean, just having a quick look on their Wikipedia page, it says the Bakri Group is an Indonesian conglomerate founded by Ahmad Bakri in 1942. It has interests across various industries, including mining, oil and gas, property development, infrastructure, plantations, media, and telecommunications. The group is one of the largest business groups in Indonesia, with 10 companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange. So, they're a big deal.
Yeah.
And
They obviously know how to successfully run businesses, so
in 2011, they had the number of employees of their company was 70,000 people.
far out, man.
So, we're not talking about, I mean, they've got to have some cash.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that the rumor is that they're not tipping in to help make the difference on the budget cuts for me it must be a fucking drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
Just having a look. Oh, it says here sports team ownership. So they own a basketball club um, in the Indonesian Basketball League. And they own CS Visa, a second division league in Belgium.
Cool.
Was acquired in 2011. So they
About
acquired
the same sort of time. Okay.
same time as us. They acquired CS Visa in Belgium. It doesn't actually list Oxford United on here, and I'm on.
I think it's him himself
It's one of the
is
Backeries
listed as an owner.
as an
So
owner for Oxford.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's a Backery who's got the finger in another sporting.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, mate, to have a look at how CSV. So let's have a quick look. We're sort of
Try and find
doing,
someone that does a podcast just on them
no
and
doing
we'll talk with them.
doing prep while we're actually doing a prep for a podcast while we're actually recording another episode.
This is how we do it.
that might be something that we
This is our
can.
thing.
Yeah, being unprepared. It's so good. Um, we might do a bit of an investigation before the next episode, mate, and see if we can see how CS Visa has done.
Definitely. Well,
Um,
we'll be having a week off, so got enough time for it.
have we got the buy? Have we?
Got to buy this week, and then the next game is the home game. So
Okay.
yeah,
And the home game against who is it again?
someone, Western Sydney maybe.
Western Sydney, I think.
I think it was.
The
I
Adelaide game was the one that's been rescheduled.
yes, because of Luke Cunt. I mean Combs. My wife's going. I told her not to ruin the pitch. Um, why? Why does it not want to work when I want it to work? All right, there we go. Full match schedule. Western Sydney, yeah. Friday, 6:35 p.m. and that'll be fun to get to. But
Hmm.
Dad and I'll go up and you can just meet us.
Why? I'll meet you there. I'll finish at 3 o'clock on a Friday.
Oh, sweet, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be cruising. If anyone's there, we'll be up a little bit earlier. So we'll probably be. Oh, did my camera die? Did it?
Yeah, you're frozen, mate.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just switch over. We'll be out the front. We might do some little interviews for the game. I'm down here. Um, yeah, we will do some interviews before the game. Just quick little ones. So if you see us, I'm wearing the good luck hat. Dad's BRFC hat, seeing as that worked for the last podcast. I'm wearing it from now on. Been wearing it to work and everything. So
Cool. We're gonna try and get a little microphone um
yes, yeah,
to that'll either plug into one of our phones or I don't really I have taken the camera once, but I don't really like taking it because of the chances of them not allowing you in with the camera is pretty high, even though, the club have told us that we can take it in,
yeah.
even though you can zoom in with your phone and take better video
Exactly. My
footage.
phone, my new phone. Holy Jesus! Can you take some good footage in a Zoom?
So yeah, keep an eye out for us. Keep an eye out for the wooden spoon with a microphone attached to it.
That will be
Uh,
us.
at least if we've driven up, because we've got to park at the stadium for Dad with his wheelchair. If we're not allowed to take the wooden spoon, oh, we'll just chuck it in the bin. What am I
Yeah, I
talking
don't care if they can't let me.
about?
Don't let me in. I'll just throw it in the bin.
All right. Well, yeah, I think that'll do us for tonight, mate. I'm going to go for my nighttime walk before it gets too late, and we'll hopefully have this uploaded maybe first thing in the morning, Monday or Monday night. And Sam is going to try and whip my butt to make sure that we get these episodes out earlier. Um,
Definitely. And probably on that week off there might be just um social media posts. So just keep an eye out on each of them. We might just chuck up some little things that we pick up during the week. But I am on the TikTok, so I'll be doing more on that. It's yeah, I've sort of discovered how to use it properly. So I'm definitely being an old man playing
well,
with TikTok, but
we're not going to get any.
everyone in America is going to disappear anyway. So
Well, they already have. I was going to say
yeah,
we're not going to get any, and no of Marcus Vakranis' family that have got TikTok are going to be tuning
yeah,
in.
that's very true.
Yeah, and maybe an interview.
We should. Yeah, well, I've got two that are sort of yeah. We're just sort of going to work out a day to do them. So interviews will be just on YouTube, guys. So we won't do them on the podcast.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, we're just going to make them YouTube exclusives, and yeah, that's about it.
we'll probably we'll pick and choose. There'll be like some interviews that we'll probably include in the actual like the whole podcast episode as well.
Yeah, like chuck it at the
Um,
end, sort of thing. Yeah,
yeah, we're just going to break it up a bit, and some of the interviews will only be YouTube exclusive. So if you guys aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, there'll be show notes. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or one of the other platforms that it's on, go to the show notes, head to the YouTube channel and subscribe there. And yeah, fingers crossed the next couple of weeks, an interview or two might be popping up there. And
yep,
if it does, we'll definitely be talking about the interview
yes,
on the next episode, or on the episode sort of around it. But yeah, keep your fingers crossed, guys. Sam's sending some DMs, and we had a few lined up at the start of the year, but
yeah. Well, it's the same two people, and then I've got another one that's someone that no longer plays with us that has been keen on doing a little interview, which will be really cool.
Yeah, fan favorite. A bit of a cult hero.
Yes,
So yeah, well, let's keep our fingers crossed that we can make that happen in the next couple of weeks too. All right, let's stop gas bagging, mate. That's enough for us. That's the Bridge City episode. I think that's 37 that we're up to now.
37, I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was just thinking before. What number are we up
Cool.
to? 37.
Yeah, we're getting thank you to everyone who does listen every week. We really appreciate it. And like we've said, every episode this year we're putting up on YouTube. So if you want to make any comments or any suggestions or anything, head across to the YouTube channel. The link to that will be in the show notes as well. Head along, leave us a comment, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. Ding ling 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 ling. And, and we'll see you guys after the home win
Yeah,
against
the home
Western
win.
Sydney Wanderers.
Definitely.
All right, cool. Take care, everyone.
See ya. Peace.